Jill McCorkle, much loved author of books set in the South. Her new one is Life After Life. Thanks for being with us, Jill.
Thank you for having me.
First, I have to ask a sad question. What was your reaction to the recent death of Louis Rubin?
Oh boy, very sad. I had some wonderful visits with him over the last couple of months, but he's the reason I'm here. Mm-hmm. He really, I no exaggeration, my whole career is due to Louis, both as a teacher and then as a publisher.
Yes, we should explain that Louis Rubin was a longtime teacher at the University of North Carolina,
Yes.
founded Algonquin Press because there were
Yes.
so many good Southern authors who couldn't get published in New York.
Right.
And you were part of that explosion. I mean,
Yes.
it was almost like a mini golden age of Southern writing.
Well, yes, and that was 30 years ago. Hard to believe, but
Yeah.
Louis was quite a force.
Yes. Life After Life is your first, I was shocked to read it, for your first novel in 17 years?
Yeah, I know. I'm shocked to keep reading. I was writing all that time. I wrote a lot of short stories, though. The short story form just seemed to fit my life better at the time.
Is that when you were living in Boston?
I was living in Boston, raising kids, doing a whole lot of teaching, and the shorter form just made more sense for a stretch of time.
So this was a mixed marriage, a Southerner and a Northerner?
Yes.
And you raised your children as Yankees?
Well, they both have found their way back to the South, but we keep a foot in each camp.
Yeah. Tell me about the new book.
Well, it's a book that I have wanted to write for a very long time and was not ready to write. I think the first idea of it came 20 years ago when my father was dying, way too young, and I was with him when he died, and it was just an experience that really changed my life and the way I look at the world. And so I always wanted to write about that moment of a person leaving and what's left behind. And so that was such an abstract idea, but over the years I just began collecting fragments of what would be the memories that would make up various lives. And then fast forward, my mother now has Alzheimer's. She did not when I started working on the book, but so my frequent visits into a nursing facility really sealed the deal on this idea, because I really think life continues. It ain't over till it's over.
Right,
and
right.
I think all too often we just assume that once someone enters that facility, everything stops, and it doesn't at all. And there's still a lot of joy and life to be found.
Another book with the same title came out almost simultaneously by another distinguished writer.
Yes.
What did you just roll your eyes, shake your head? I mean, what can you do?
Oh, well, what could you do? I mean, I had had that title in my mind for 3 years and had Googled, and knew there was the nonfiction book. And then I learned in a Publishers Weekly article, and of course, my publisher didn't know, her publisher didn't know. So I don't know, and hers is a wonderful novel and was on the bestseller list everywhere, so I keep hoping maybe a lot of people bought me by mistake. And maybe we'll continue to.
You have a loyal following, though, right?
I do. I definitely feel I do.
Yeah. And did you keep in touch with them during the 17 years when you weren't producing a new novel?
Well, I did. I mean, I think the short stories were well received,
Mm-hmm.
and I was still out there teaching and doing a lot of readings and events. So, yeah, I mean, they just don't send you all over or they didn't send me all over the country for short stories.
Right.
So my presence was not as visible.
That double-edged sword, digital technology, it does allow you to keep in touch with reading groups and fans.
Right.
Do you take advantage of that?
I have, especially with this book. I mean, that's one thing. The 17-year pause between novels, much has changed about the way you promote a novel. And so there was a lot that I did online, writing blogs and responding to questions. So it's an interesting time. I mean, and you know, the e-books, it's already come, it's happening, and you want people reading however they read. In fact, I myself find that I have been often I buy the same book twice because I'm halfway and then a trip comes and I don't want to carry this great, you know, this heavy book or several books, and I end up buying books a second time.
You moved back to North Carolina
Yes.
about 7 years ago, and you wrote this book in North Carolina.
Yeah, I put it all together.
Yeah. When you were in Boston, I mean, we're all one country, but still, the regional allegiances, regional differences. Did you feel like a Southerner in Boston, or did you just feel like an American around people who talk fun?
You know, it was interesting because I did have that distinction of being a Southerner in Boston, and it was actually wonderful because if you ever forgot, you know, you left a bag somewhere, if you called on the phone, they automatically remembered you. But I also really came to feel very much at home there. It's a wonderful literary community, and one that really just welcomed me right in, and a community that I have continued to miss. I still teach in the Bennington Low Residency Program because I missed all those guys, and I missed snow in the winter. So I really left that experience feeling that I have two homes. And of course, for my children, the suburbs in and around Boston is their whole childhood.
In the 21st century, when so much has changed, digital technology, social changes, does the term Southern writer mean anything anymore the way it did in the last century?
I think it's changed a lot, but I think the term is still there. If for no other reason, just a monument to all the literature that preceded where we are now. And I don't want people to stop reading or forget the likes of Eudora Welty and Carson McCullers and Flannery O'Connor. And Faulkner. Not that that would happen, but so it's both an honoring of what has come before and a continuation of this storytelling and strong sense of place.
This is not your first visit to the Miami Book Fair, is it?
No, I've been quite a few times.
Yeah.
It's grown.
Is there anyone here at this time that you would like to see? Anyone on the author's list that you're interested in reading their book or hearing their presentation?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know how I missed Russell Banks yesterday, and there, you know, he has some Southern connections,
Yes,
and yet
he does.
I have not met him. I would have loved to have
Even though he's a New Englander.
to that one. I know. Yeah. And I was sorry to miss Robert Pinsky. And the poetry panel preceding with Sharon Olds and Mary Jo Salter. So yes, there's
always
so much going on, and of course the great Mitchell Kaplan, who I hope to see wandering somewhere.
He's wandering somewhere on these grounds.
Yes.
And finally, what are you reading now?
Oh gosh, I'm reading a lot of first novels because I am part of a judging of a contest in North Carolina. So I've read a whole lot lately. Wiley Cash's A Land More Kind Than Home. And I had just, you know, very steeped in Southern, not part of the contest, but Ron Rash's latest collection of short stories. I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah, Ron's great.
And Alan Gerganis has a new book. Lee Smith has a new book. So if I just keep up with what's coming, Wilton Barnhart.
Did you read Wilton Barnhart?
I work with Wilton.
Well, I love his new book.
I love Look Away.
Yeah, it's a
Look
great
Away.
book.
It is a great book. So, I mean, if I just keep up with everybody in the neighborhood, it keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah. Jill McCorkle, the new book is Life After Life. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.